Hi there, welcome to Elite Yoga. So, yoga means to yoke. It is to bring all your faculties together, meaning the aspects of your mind, contemplation, observation, withdrawal of senses, with in harmony with your body and essentially the essence of who you are or your individual soul. And as you practice the yoga, that you basically become one with what we call the universal soul. That's actually what yoga is about. You're going to study here the ancient art of yoga, traditional practice, but it is specifically for cyclists. I have used yoga as my secret weapon during my dancing career in order to get myself to the perfect place to get rid of injuries, to know where my body was at, to raise my energy. There's very few things that can actually raise your energy. And if you're always just doing like a typical sort of sport, you do tend to just always expend energy. So knowing how to also conserve energy, create it, and expend it, then you have this a lot of power in your athletic sport. So we're going to begin. Now, it does take a while. I mean, yoga is about practice. So practicing till you get the right result, and it just takes a while to get all these faculties together. Okay, so it does take discipline and a willingness to practice. And when I say discipline, you just need to roll out your mat, show up on time, and be keen. All right, so we're going to start with your legs straight and lying in a straight line, so your legs aren't off to the side, but they're in line with your tailbone. You're going to engage from the tail to the navel, pulling in and up your pelvic floor combined with your lower abdominal region. In and up. That's called Mula Bandha, the root lock of the body. Lifting up your left knee to a 90-degree angle, placing your right hand on the outside of the knee and turning your pelvis to the right. Keeping the backs of the shoulders down on the floor. They are the roots of the pose. So, breathing out easy. Last week we did a whole meditation on the breath. Today we're just going to go more through the directions of energy again. So reaching out through your hand, a light feeling up, stretching up through the crown of your head and down with both sit bones. Opening your toes, relaxing the tops of your shoulders, like you're turning them off. Come on back to the start, stretching your leg down and keeping your Mula Bandha. Lift your right knee and taking your right arm out to the side, turning your pelvis to the left. So you can only rotate your pelvis as much as you keep your shoulder girdle on the floor. Okay, so that will increase the rotation in your lower back and pelvis. Rather than letting this go all the way and then now you're just really falling. This isn't increasing this range at all. Okay, so keeping your pelvis, your shoulder girdle as the base while your pelvis rotates. Coming back to the center. That also stretches the outside of your hip. Feet together, and then you're going to cross your right foot above your left knee. So making sure you don't twist your pelvis stays in a neutral position. Your hip bones are level, that's neutral. There's a space between your lower back and the mat. Lift Mula Bandha, pull your toes back to your shin, and rotate the right knee out, which is forward towards the front of the mat. And then to increase the stretch, you don't have to, pick up your left foot off the floor, and now keeping your pelvis down on the floor, and you'll have to roll it down consciously if you're tight there, and you probably are. So rolling the pelvis down while this is moving forward, while your left knee is drawing in towards your chest. Pelvis down, right knee forward, left knee in. Breathing out and placing your foot down on the floor. Breathing in. Exhale, keep that shape and rotate to the left. So again, now we've got both your arms out to the side in line with your shoulders, with the arms down on the floor. So it'll be nice and open across the chest. Shoulder blades glide down towards your hips. Down with the blade, out with the hand, up through the crown of your head. There, out with the knee. So you're going to press your big toe down, rotate the right knee towards the front of the mat. And this separates these muscles here, your piriformis, your glutes, your TFL. Come on back using Mula Bandha, placing your foot down, crossing your left foot above your knee. Pelvis neutral. Is this one tighter than the other one, or is this one looser? Rotating the left knee out, lifting Mula Bandha, open your shoulders, and then if you want to increase the stretch, and you can, if you're really tight in your hips, stay with that one. Left knee turning out, right knee drawing in. Breathing deeply, like we did last week, expanding the back of your ribs as you breathe. Letting your pelvis roll down to the floor, your left knee turning out, your right knee drawing in. Placing your foot down on the mat, and exhale, arms out to the side, rotating the whole shape to the right. And if you go all the way, you can press down your left big toe and rotate the knee towards the front of the mat. So you're turning it out to the left. Shoulder blades moving down toward your hips, reaching out through your hands. And so this is great if you have some sciatic nerve pain due to tight piriformis. And come on back. Okay, start taking your strap and you're going to put it around the ball of your right foot. And you're going to lengthen your left leg down. Organize your pelvis first. So the left leg's in line with the left hip. Your sit bones draw down to the front of the mat. Open your shoulders, taking the strap in either hand. So you feel the backs of the shoulders are down. Then open your toes. Placing your big toe, you want to press that a bit more forward than the others. And then your Mula Bandha is going to pull your leg towards your head. And you're going to engage your left glutes, your left butt only. Okay, so that's your standing leg, your left leg. And then Mula Bandha is pulling the leg, you're reaching the foot away, pressing away with that foot. And then you're going to take the strap in the right hand, left hand on your hip, and you're going to rotate the right leg out to the side. So rotating the hip out, still reaching away through your big toe, still the sit bones pointing, pressing down to the front of the mat, still your left glutes are engaged. Open your shoulders. Okay, so you should be able to hold that with your muscles there. Okay, so letting go of the strap. That should be you just pressing into the strap, holding it with your muscles. Okay, so come on back and still, so the strap is to press into. Lower the leg so it's hip height or less. Turn it in. Take the leg across your body now and then take your pelvis across as well. Sit bones pressing down, shoulders on the floor, the backs of your shoulders, spreading your toes. This time you can press your heel away a bit more with this one. Okay, come on back, pulling in your Mula Bandha. Bend your knee, other leg in the strap. If you don't have a strap, you need to use a towel or something for the day. It's fine. And pressing your sit bones down first to the front of the mat. Right butt's engaged. Opening your toes. So you're never trying to blast through your muscles. You're organizing everything first, particularly at this stage, okay? Organizing it into the right position. That takes away a lot of pain and soreness right away. Just to relax, know what to relax, and organize it. Opening your toes, pressing the big toe forward, okay? Getting your sit bones, especially down towards the front of the mat, because your hamstrings are attached to your sit bones, and that's what we're stretching here. And getting your posture right always. So in a lot of the Western way, we sort of focus on one part of the body rather than feeling, for example, sure, this is the main action, but it's within the entire nervous system. It's all organized within the entire nervous system. Your spine is long, you're stretching up through the head, you're opening your shoulders, you've got your right hip engaged, you're reaching down with the right foot and the hips, left hand with the strap, taking it out to the side. And this spreading of attention is what awareness is. So at first it's going to feel weird if you're used to just using beta concentration. So beta brain waves is experienced as concentrated. Okay, like when you focus on one point in the body. And awareness works towards alpha brain waves. And that's where you experience the body moving its right action as a whole. Come on back. So you just have to let go a bit of what you think it feels like. Turn the leg in, take the leg across. Just go with it in the beginning. This is also the state of presence, being completely in the moment. And that's really valuable if you practice this for a sport. Absolutely, I used it for dancing, especially when you're really tired, you've got nothing in the tank. Really being absorbed in the one moment, in what and how you're doing something. It is the point of power when you've got nothing left and you want to increase your level. Come on back. All right, bend your knees. Okay, so we just did the hamstrings of the inside thigh and inside hamstrings and your IT connection and outer hip muscles. So now let's sit up and we're going to rotate your legs out, crossing your legs so you can see it's a bit of more of an unusual position. Your feet are more crossed than normal. If that's enough for you, stay there. If you want to sit up on a block, that's good too. If you can't sit up with a straight back. So the main thing is your spine. So you need to be able to sit up, put your hand on your lower back and have a straight back. Nothing wrong in getting up on the block. And then if you want to increase that, you don't feel a stretch, you can try the double pigeon, which is one leg on top of the other. So we're now increasing the stretch in your piriformis dramatically and your outer hip muscles. So we did the basic one lying on your back to start to peel off those layers. And so it shouldn't feel, you need to relax a bit more, as in breathe out, make sure you're in a position that is uncomfortable, but you can breathe. No, it shouldn't feel like punishment. Okay, and then you can rotate this right knee out a little bit more by you helping it with your hand so you get the feeling of what it is to rotate the knee out. This knee's rotating out. And we're going to go lateral. You're going to put your right hand down and just stretching a bit across, and we'll start to then separate your hip, your rib, and up through the center and other side. And up through the center, and now we're going to roll your hips forwards. So what is that? This is called a forward bend. It's a seated forward bend. A forward bend is a forward tilt of your pelvis. So your hip bones, That's the front of your pelvis, and that is rolling forwards toward your thigh bone. And that's the same thing as your sit bones rolling back, your bum bones, because your pelvis, you've got your hip bones at the front, the top, and then you've got your sit bones at the bottom, at the back. Okay, so it's the same bone, so put awareness in both. It's good to start that. And so really, all your energy is still with your mula bandha, so you can roll forward and come up easy without strain because your muscles are controlling it, okay? So rolling your hips forwards. Okay, so how much do you use your mula bandha? So that's the thing. If you're especially guys have a bit, because they're much more muscular, they tend to use a bit too much energy with it. Depending on what kind of athlete you are. If you're a person that's quite an elite athlete, you might find that you might need to just back it off. What I mean by that is, like, if you were talking how much energy you're going to use in this particular movement, you don't need to be using 10% mula bandha. Okay, you're not pulling it in as hard as you can. But you should be able to feel it and it's controlling the movement. Calm on up. So if you were on a bike and you're going to go as fast as you can, you want to use mula bandha 90 to 100%. You see, it is your source of power now. That's where you start your effort from. I'll say that again. You start your effort from mula bandha. That requires slow training like this, where you go get your brain to create that. And then once that happens, it starts to get in your nervous system, just like the way we're going to forward bend. The way you would start off slow, doing the warm-up laps, and then head towards speed. I mean, I'm not a cyclist. You would have to teach me all of that, hang on, like you've got to look that way. This is what you do when you start to go fast, So it is the same thing. You're training your brain all the time, and it ends up in training. Your brain is basically organizing your body to do that. Okay, so you're going to organize your brain to train mula bandha being the first source of effort. So I always do, if I'm going to start to do something really difficult dancing, I breathe out and I just pull in as much as I can, my mula bandha, and then I do whatever movement I'm doing. Calm on up. Okay, so now we're going to stretch your left leg forward and you're going to bend the right knee out to the side. So now we're going to stretch these left hamstrings and the right inner hip. So you're going to take your strap again, place it around the ball of the foot, and you're going to press down your sit bones, rotating this right thigh bone out. Lift your sternum up and forward. So this is a forward bend. So notice, unfortunately people do this very wrong a lot of the time, and it is very bad to do it wrong because you might not feel it now, but later you will. You do not you do not flex your spine here. This is not a rounded posture. It's the other way. Your sit bones rolling back or your hip bones rolling forward, same thing like we just did, that activates your spine muscles right beside your spine and inside your spine, and your back muscles. That's the opposite of stretching them. Okay? And then later you'll be like, I think I might have hurt myself, right? I don't even want to do it. So you roll your hip bones forwards. My whole back is starting to activate now. I can feel it engage. Okay? And so you're rolling your hip bones forwards. The final movement is here. No rounded back. Shoulder blades down. And then stretching. Come on up. Pressing your sit bones down. Other side. So now your right leg forward. Left knee bent out to the side. Place the strap around the ball of your right foot. Open your shoulders. Okay, so sit bones going down and back. Or if it's easy for you to think hip bones rolling forward, same thing, start somewhere. They're both good. And if you can feel both, that's even better. Okay, so you're mimicking, again, this pressing away with the foot. So the foot stays in this dorsiflex position, but the feeling of the foot is spreading and moving forward into the strap. Because eventually you do that. Okay, sternum up and forward, rotating your left knee down to the floor. So you're going to stretch the inner hip and the outer muscles are going to lower the knee down. Okay, rolling your hips forwards. Lifting your right kneecap up. Stretching forward and come on up. Okay, placing the soles of your feet together, again up on the block if you can't sit up with a straight back, and then pressing down your sit bones. So it's really important that you do sit up on the block if you can't sit up with a straight back, because otherwise you will be stretching your lower back and it should be engaged, again, like I just described, okay? So you're pressing down your sit bones and then you're going to rotate your knees out, both of them. So we just did a pose where we did one knee out. Now we're doing both knees out. And this is called Virasana. The one that we just did was called Marichyasana A, because there's a series, A, B, C, D, E. Rotating the knees out. Press down your sit bones and see if you can just press them back a little bit. Just a little, and you feel a lot more separation in the outer hip. And come on up. Okay, again, sitting on the block should you need to. Stretch your right leg forward. And today we're going to do Marichyasana C. So you're going to have your right leg in line with your right hip, your left leg in line with your left hip. The knees bent, and you're going to put, if you can, your hand around. If you can do your elbow in front of the right knee, even better. And then you're going to place your left hand around your back. Pressing down your sit bones. And breathe out, rotating to the left. If that's too much, put your hand down, press down on your sit bones. So what's unusual? Looking forward, people are often not aware that it's muscles in a finer way. You're working a lot of a lot of the movements aren't these, well, we do have some big gross movements, handstands and arm balances, stuff like that, but they're obvious strength things. But you might not be aware now that you're using the strength of your intercostal muscles here, your obliques here. And that's why if you take your hand off and do the traditional pose, you'll realize you have to use them in order to sit up. Okay, looking forward and release. Okay, so now we're going to do a basic back bend. You're going to put your feet just outside of your hips, the outsides of the feet parallel. Bring your bum in as close as comfortable for your knees and roll back down. Okay, so you're going to start, we'll start in stages. You're going to firstly backwards tilt your pelvis. That means you roll your hips towards your ribs. You'll feel your lower back flatten. That flattening lengthens your lower back for a back bend. Mula bandha, so you've got your tail pulled into your navel. Engage your glutes, spread and press down your feet. Shoulders back on the floor. Start with then lifting your hips. Then lift your sternum. And so your ribs are open here in a back bend. Okay, different from a bridge, which is just this position. Okay, that's more of a core exercise. This starts to stretch your obliques, your psoas at the front, and your chest muscles. And come back down. Rolling your hips under again. Mula Bandha, engage your glutes, press down your feet. Then lift up your hips. Then your shoulders are rolling back. Your sternum lifts up. Think about arching your upper back. And then come back down. Okay, so we're going to do one more, and you have the chance to do, if you're a bit more, been doing this a little bit longer, you might want to try the next stage. Hips roll under, Mula Bandha, glutes, feet press. Lift your hips, shoulders back, lift your sternum. Place your hands by your shoulders with your elbows coming in a bit so they point up. Then you can just place the top of your head on the floor. Stay there, or you can press your hands down and wrap your shoulder blades to the front of your mat. Pressing your hands down, lifting your feet, your hips up, pressing your feet down. And then you can place your head down, tuck your chin, and relax. Okay, you're going to stretch your legs down, roll onto your front, and we're going to bend your right knee, taking your foot with your hand. Pressing gently your hip bones down. If you can't take your foot with your hand, grab your strap or a towel, and then put it around your foot and pull on the strap in order to get your foot towards your hip. The main thing is that your hip is down on the floor. We're going to have the option, if that is not much of a stretch for you, for coming up to your elbow, engage your glutes a bit more, press down the top of your foot now. Drawing your foot towards your hip. And this really starts to separate your quads and hip flexors. Okay, release that. And left side. Bending your left knee. Hips down. If you want to increase the stretch, engage your glutes a bit more. Try and feel the top of your big toe moving down. And release your foot. Okay, coming up to your knees. Now, just double the mat over if you've got a hard floor. This isn't the best mat actually. And then you're going to place your knees a hip width apart, kneeling up. Do a kneeling back bend. You're going to roll your hips towards your ribs, Mula Bandha, glutes. Then you're going to lift your sternum forwards and upwards. Your shoulders are going to move back and they're going to rotate out. So you're going to take hold of the backs of your legs, and then you can start to relax your head back. If you can take your feet, that is the final pose, and you press down gently. The roots of the pose are your shins. They press down, and you want to press down your hands gently off your feet, and that creates a lift in your back. And then bring your hands to your hips and come up. And then we're going to place your knees together. And the option first is to kneel, okay, pressing down your shins. And if that is difficult, you're up here. That's okay. All right, if that's easy, you want to try the traditional pose, Virasana, which is to put your knees together and your feet just outside of your hips. Take your thumbs on the inside of your calves, dancer calves, roll them out, and sit down just between your feet. So you should see that that's actually a bit wide. So your feet are just outside of you're just sitting down between your feet, your hips. They're just outside of your hips. Okay, and you're going to spread your toes and you're going to gently press down your shins. So draw your knees together. These sort of poses, sure, need to be done right. I'm teaching how to do them. But you'll feel like if this is really tough for you, then you're really tight in the tendons of the lower leg and that run up to your knee. And it's creating a stiffness in your knee. And yoga is a fountain of youth. And this is a big reason why when you do these poses, they allow that freedom in the tendons. You know, tendons get stiff. You do the same thing over and over again, like push a pedal over and over again. With a bent knee, your tendons will get stiff. And you'll feel like your knee is not the same as when you're 20. My knees feel like they're the same as when I was 20. You know, there's no difference in the knee. And you can feel better than maybe when you were 20 if you start to do some of the poses. But again, it's about pressing gently down, open the toes gently. You might be sitting up. It's okay to sit on a block and try this too. And so your bum won't be on the floor. Come forward, and then we're going to place your hands down and lift your hips up and back to a downward dog. So your middle fingers forward. Open your shoulders, outsides of your feet parallel to the edge of the mat. Roll your shoulder blades down and move them forward. Move them forward. That is what creates this strength and flexibility in your back while you lift your sit bones up and back. The movement down and forward. Okay, then you're going to step forward with your left foot and your right knee will face down. Roll your hips towards your ribs so it's a backwards tilt again. Glutes engaged. Left knee on top of your ankle. Second toe facing forward. Open your shoulders and press down off your feet. Okay? Press down as if you're going to jump off them. Okay? Pressing down. And in yoga we call these the roots of the pose. Lower your knee to the floor and roll your hips under. This is a kneeling lunge. Really important that you do this and learn this. Hips rolling down and under, glutes engaged, stretching the front of your right hip, especially your psoas, your deepest hip flexor. Okay, place your hands down and we're going to go back to the downward dog. Hips up and back, shoulder blades rounding down and forward. And stepping forward with your right foot, with your left knee pointing down. Heel moving back. Second toe of your right foot pointing forward. So you're again correcting the alignment, getting your body first in the right position. First, but always in the right position. Glutes engaged and pressing down, making sure you have that nerve connection from your hip to your foot, pressing down. That's where the nerve pathway has to go in this movement. Lower your knee down. Rolling your hips under. So that's a big part of yoga practice that to heal the body and for athletic performance. Getting in the right position and then having that safety of opening and pressing down the roots of the pose. So why? Because that gives, when you press down, that action comes from your nervous system through your spinal cord down, through your hip, down your leg, pressing down, and that creates a lift in the body. Okay, back to downward dog. So practice it here. The roots of the pose are whatever's on the floor. Whatever's on the floor right now are your hands and your feet. Your elbows are relaxed first. So you've got to be in the right position first. Elbows are soft, right? You wrap your blades down and move them forward as your hands move down and forward. That changes your back. Then your toes are spreading as your sit bones lift up, your heels are moving down. That's what creates that change and that strength within your flexibility, that marriage there. Rotating the right leg out into a pigeon pose and your left hip pointing down. So this right leg now turning out, stretching your left piriformis, and your left leg, you're going to press down the top of your left foot and like you're reaching that back. So again, the roots of the pose. This is rotating out, the heel moving across the top of your left foot and is pressing down. Open your shoulders and press away from your elbows. You're pressing down again. And then lower your knee. Okay, let's go the other side. Left leg forward. Okay. Right hip points down first. You've got to get the alignment of the pelvis. Right butt engaged, so right glutes engaged. Open your shoulders, then press down on your elbows. Pressing down the top of the right foot. Rotating your left knee out. And lowering your knee. Careful, come around sitting into a straddle. Okay, so you're going to take your legs out to the side. Straight legs. If you need to sit on the block first, make sure you don't lock your knees, then do that. Okay, so you're going to take your legs as wide as you can, pressing down your sit bones. They're the roots of the pose, and your heels press down. Okay, so it's important that you don't lift your heels up. Heels are down, and that you're spreading your toes. And it's like you've got to strap the end of the feet. You're reaching away with that, with your toes. So very important stretch for your inner thighs. And I rely on this stretch because I've hurt my left ankle badly. Okay, so that would have happened, like injuring that tendon really helps me. Keep that free and takes away any burning I have from tendonitis there. Okay, gently relaxing your legs in, and we're going to stand up. Okay, so you're going to place your outsides of your feet parallel, 1 meter apart, and you're going to wrap your shoulders out, pressing your palms together, and then you're going to press your feet down because they're the roots of the pose, and we're going to do a standing forward bend. So your hip bones are rolling forwards. And then, so your hip bones are rolling forwards. Feet are spreading and pressing down. So you should feel this. And then you're going to bring your hips down to stand up. You should feel this all the way down the backs of your legs. So let's do one more of those. Shoulders back. Hip bones roll forward. Forward. The sternum is forward, right? So there's no rounding of your spine. Your spine muscles are engaged. And your pelvis down to stand up. And thank you very much. I'll see you next week.